So many classic cars, so many stories, and yet so many potential train wrecks. I mean, over here you have a Triumph, you have a Harrington, you have a TF, you have one of my favorite cars, of course, a Jaguar E-Type. And the question that you might be wondering is, if your heart is in love with one of these cars, which one of them should you buy? And more importantly, which one of them should you not buy? And coming up next on our new episode, Load Bearing Paint, we are going to give you the 5 don'ts of buying a classic car to restore. So Ted, today we're going to be talking about the top 5 don'ts of buying a classic car that you want to restore. Because a lot of people come to you, right, to this shop and they have a car in tow, but there's 5 things they probably should have looked at before they ever fell in love with it.
Yes. And the person you're talking about that's bringing us this car, if they already bought it, and that's usually the case.
Too late.
And yet the number of times we do the pre-purchase inspection is probably 1 in 5 compared to the post-purchase inspection, where we get to give them the bad news and try to delicately tell them that they screwed up. So yeah, it's pretty funny.
Before these guys tell you the bad news, we're going to tell you what to look for. Yes. Is that right? All right, let's start with number 5, and that's an obvious one, the engine. What are we looking at when we look at the engine?
You know, the engine, and this is a sweeping generalization of engines throughout whatever kind of car you might be interested in. Obviously,
and we're all about sweeping generalizations.
Perfect. Yeah. So let's paint them all with one brush. In general, an engine, if it doesn't leak, smoke, or knock, you're probably good. You know, if the car drives up, let's say you're looking at the car and the guy's trying to sell it to you. If it's been all pre-warmed up, and if it's got, if you see empty cans of, Moto Honey sitting around the garage, just run, But really, if it's in reasonable shape, let's include tune-up as part of the engine, It should start from cold. It should not be cranky in the way it behaves. Now, sometimes you can score a great deal on a car that just kind of runs rough, when in fact, the engine itself is great, because you can, sometimes the owners will think, oh, this car, it runs like crap, I'm just going to get rid of it, and you get it off the line, and plug a vacuum leak, and wahoo, you just made out. But Paul has a story actually. He bought I think it was an MGA, got it for a steal because this was years ago. The owner was like, oh, this damn thing needs a clutch, and so he got it for nothing. And,
what did it need?
Needed some clutch fluid. Those things.
One can of clutch fluid.
One can of clutch, and he just kind of poured it in there and sort of stomped on it, and it kind of bled itself.
All right, let's go to number 4, and I think that is probably the previous owner and what they've done or did not do to the car, right? The restoration that has been done to it, because I bet you spend a lot of time undoing restored cars.
Oh, I would say, I wish I had a pie chart for that fraction, because I'll bet that most of the repairs that we do on these cars are undoing the last 5 guys that decided they could do it themselves.
And how do you look for that? I mean, how do you know? It seems like you have to have an expert eye to be able to tell.
Because I'm the idiot that did all that stuff when I was a kid. So I know exactly, in fact, the best example of the car never to buy. If I raise my hand and I say, I'm selling my Sunbeam Alpine, I got it when I was a kid. Don't buy it. It's a litany of everything I make fun of customers for. You can get under the dash with little wires twisted together with electrical tape. It's got 7 layers of paint, and they were all done on the cheap. I mean, horrible.
But how do you see that? I mean, I guess you have to bring somebody like you.
I was kind of serious. Oh, yeah, that's right. If you're not the guy that's the idiot that learned the hard way, yes, it is worth, especially now, like the stock market, how much can you afford to lose? If you're buying kind of a throwaway hobby car, and it's low stakes, and you buy a stupid one, and you got snake bit, okay, and you can recover from it, then just go buy what you want and see. If you get lucky, you get lucky, and if you don't, sell it. But if you're stretching, if this is something that you had to talk to your wife about, and if you make a mistake, then it is worth every penny to pay somebody that knows what they're looking at to go with you. If you have to fly them across the country to inspect the car personally before you buy it. It is worth it. You can afford to look at a couple of losers. Now you should vet them. You know, whoever this expert is that goes to look. I know they say never buy a car on eBay. I disagree. I have bought cars on eBay, and because I know what I'm looking at, even in pictures and on the listing, the cars I bought have been exactly what I thought they would be. They've been great. So you can, but again, put somebody's eyes on it that know what they're looking at, and it's still best to go look at it yourself or have somebody that knows what they're looking at do it.
Number 3.